Blessed love, this is Ras representing for the Lion Voice. Seeing? Yeah, man. Keep it locked right there, sir. On to Zion we go. Lion Voice don't move slow, no. Ras Tafari rules and reigns, and we're going where the blessings flow. Keep it locked right there, sir. Seeing? Ras said that. Lion's Voice.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Ras Tafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Ras Tafari.
We have one of the only Jaguar. We have one of the only Jaguar reserves in the world. Jaguar, all right. We have a lot of Jaguar in Belize.
So for those who don't know, big cat that is
right.
you know what I mean, like a leopard, but bigger than a leopard. You know what I mean,
Yes,
more powerful than a leopard.
Yes,
one of the most powerful big cats. Because I want the people to know this is not no play bush. When you talk about Belize bush,
no, it's look. We have one of the thickest and largest rainforests in Central America, untouched, all right? And it's because of how we are. As I said, we're a young country. So we have a lot of development to do. So, and it's a great place to even think of finding land at this time to try and purchase and build from, because it's a great place and great weather. And if you think about Costa Rica or Honduras, and any of these places along that journey, Panama, Venezuela, it's kind of the same kind of nature. You understand? It's pretty much the same nature. Belize is right below Mexico, all right? And right before Guatemala, right in the heart, we like to say, the heart of Central America, But I've been holding mic from a youth. Another picture I have to share with you. From as a youth, I've been holding the mic, I've been writing lyrics. My aunt saw the talent. She used to invite me to a event she used to have, and I used to go there and I always mash up the place. And so it just built, but I wasn't writing songs then. I wasn't literally an artist. I was just dabbling with the mic. But that prepared me, along with the journey of my father, prepared me for later on when I would say between the ages of 20 and 23 is when I began literally saying, Ras Indio. And it wasn't Ras Indio, it was just Indio. It's like a movie them a make. Death after death, it's like we're living in the wild, wild west. Movie them a make. Time them ya youth ya get blessed. Them can't go pan Zion Express. 100%. Definitely more so in the Gambia, I felt it. I felt that strong presence of, and then, like I said, that's what all Mama T is about, Pan-Africanism. So we were meeting up with people, like I said, culture in Senegal, and I have to big up Lamis, because he's a very powerful individual there, who has a lot of thought of what the future we're going to be getting into real soon, is how they speak, So I'm like, okay, whatever you're ready for, I'm ready for it too, It's definitely, once it have anything to do with homeland and the motherland. And again, the Cote d'Ivoire, that place has a lot of expanding happening right now. I see so much building, like hotels and stories, so much stories, so much buildings that are not complete, but I could just imagine in the next few years what it's going to look like. And I got quiet. Look, I got quiet and just it's like I ended up in Oregon for a while and did some great things in Oregon, performing with the Wailers and Israel Vibration and connecting with some band members from Zimbabwe, and just being here in Oregon is a really good vibe. But it's like then boom, right when I thought nothing else would show up, Africa did, and then now it's just like a whole wide now bright now focus, about where we're going musically. Man, Ethiopia again. That was for self-restoration. I couldn't see myself continuing to sing songs about Addis Ababa and Shashamani and we need to go to Ethiopia, right? I'm inviting everybody to a place I've never been. So, as a real Rasta man, I took that time to say, okay, I'm going to go there. I had the opportunity and I went. And yes, out of that, I met some amazing people and links that I have to this day. I talked to a brethren named Ras Mumba, who's now in Israel. He's very excited to bring me into Israel. But I told him, let it calm down some, you know? So Ethiopia is, it was like another home. When I went there, just like when I was in Ivory Coast, you have to understand, you go to these places and people say, where are you from? And you say, Belize. And they say, where is that? And you try to explain. And then by the time you finish, they say, well, welcome home. UNITY, UNITY, that a unity. UNITY, UNITY, that a unity. Worldwide. That's what we need right now. Everybody, you know? And I think a lot of this, like you said earlier, you will have bad mind, you will have hating. Bring it all around. Unity is the healing factor of everything. Unity and love. Yeah, man. To all Rasta people worldwide, stay strong, stay positive, you know? Keep praising up the Most High first, and everything will come after.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the Lion S.T.E.M feel nice. Lion Voice, with the Lion Cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice.
Jano, I'm so hungry, bro. I haven't eaten all day. Like, my head started to hurt me too. Like, what more could I eat right now?
What about a city samosa? So come now and get your samosa, a fusion of Indian, Jamaican and African culture. City samosas, the best samosas in the city.
Yeah. Ras Tafari, Emperor Haile Selassie the first. Tell the people about Empress Mene. Well, even if the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, but to the coming war we stand tall. I will shower you with my love. And even when the people start ball, cause they see the city streets them flood. But when the hurricane blow down their wall, I'll be by your side and me nah budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine and unto I. Your love was a lifeline. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine and unto I. That light was a lifeline. It seems like the world is upside down. I will never hide, I'd rather stand my ground. Lion of Judah blessed with the triple crown. Can't come fool I with no circus clown. Now fear no hurricane or the cyclone. Respect for Mama Earth with that embedded on me bone. That's why I will never leave you alone. Protect you from harm when the alarm sound. So even when the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, to the coming war we stand tall. I will shower you with my love. And even when the people start ball, cause they see their city streets them flood. When the hurricane blow down our wall, I'll be by your side and me nah budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty I made your light shine and unto I. Your light was a lifeline. I think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine and unto I. Your love was a lifeline. They say hurt people, maybe that's why.
What do you have to tell the people about Ras Tafari?
Light to the world. The king of kings and the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. I left himself. Where's my ruler? Hey yo! Yeah. Hail them high, hail the black king on the 23rd of July. So tell them guy who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time them a try. Them Romans know them just open them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them come without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill. The lion will come conquer Judah tribe. Go through tribulation, and I strive, see sufferation, and I still rise. That's why we tell them in America, live Ras Tafari in every ghetto area. We come to tell them in a Toronto, straight at
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Banso, aka the Chasmach Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man. I'm a creative industry attorney, I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Talk. Welcome to the Lion Talk Show, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Today we have a very special guest. This guest, I was looking forward to this link up. Met this brethren at the airport in Kingston, Jamaica. We never know at the time what was happening. Just see our next Ras and we start reason and connection. And we kept the link from them time there until this time, and now see the brethren doing some mightyful work. So we are going to explore the work. This is a Africa-centric reasoning, but this brethren that we're reasoning is coming straight from Central America, straight from Belize, where a lot of reggae vibration is there. I visited briefly. I was on a cruise and touched the soil, never get a chance to really full up in the place. But this is gonna be our first guest from Belize, and it's appropriate because this brethren a big artist of Belize, a Imran Belize. Me said that, you write in the comments if you don't agree. But I said that just from observing, this brethren, and he's no stranger to Jamaica. The man travel, veteran artist, and really inspired by how the brethren has been able to craft, because this reggae business is not no easy business. Anyone who is involved in this business know this is not an easy business. So big up the brethren. Who am I talking about? You'll see shortly. Before I bring on the brethren, let me just take the time to big up the Lion Pride. If you subscribe, you're part of the Lion Pride. This is the platform where the family is coming to connect with all parts of the globe, and to see the glory that is Ras Tafari. We are not just artists. We are not just herb smokers. Here you will see the architect, the engineer, the lawyer, the doctor, and yes, the artist too. And we can't forget the farmer. They're all here on the Lion Voice Network. So I just want to big up everyone in the Lion Pride. Big up the Lion Pride on Patreon, the economic engine of the platform. Big up the Ubuntu Lion Pride. Anyone with contribution over $70 US, you will be part of the Ubuntu Lion Pride. You can enter on behalf of your family. Is a great way. Big up the Myers family. You can enter with your business. Big up Nick Makers film production. Big up Carib Life Media production. So there's all kind of ways that you can join within the fullness of the Ubuntu Lion Pride. So big up all of the Ubuntu Lion Pride. If you can't contribute any financial resource, or you don't have it, or you don't want to, you can still be part of the Action Lion Pride. How? Like, you comment, you share. The Action Lion Pride is why we are the fastest growing platform on the internet right now, because I see the ones them sharing from all over the earth, you know what I mean? And we really give thanks. We have a very strong audience growing on the continent of Africa. I want to big up all of the African Lion Pride, them serious contribution to this platform. Big up on yourself, and big up the watch and peep Lion Pride. Everyone starts as a watcher, so we big up everyone who watches. We're doing over close to 40,000 a month in terms of the watchers, and that keeps going up every month. So big up on yourself, and big up the peepers, those who just come into peep on people and see if we pop down. In America, they call them the haters. In Jamaica, we call them bad mind. We big them up same way, because anything you do in life, you will have the peoples them there. Don't feel like, say, yeah, I got escape that part there. So embrace them within the ecosystem and bless them up. You know what I mean? And we pray that they elevate their thinking to higher heights. But while you are people, we big up the item same way. We now pop down His Majesty have I back, so we can't pop down. But big up on ourselves same way. Big up Ramir King Design. If you see I'm on sipping, Ras Tafari business, the tumblers, Ramir King Design, all different Caribbean, African flags. I got Haile Selassie the first. Big up on yourself. Big up CMAS Life. CMAS Life, the greatest CMAS drink on the planet. I said that. You don't agree, make me war down in the comments. Big up on yourself, Wally Kings. Also, big up Wally King's graphic design. You see our logo, the lion roaring. That is courtesy of Wally King's graphic design. So we're gonna have a commercial for that soon. As you can see, family, we are here supporting Rastafari independent business as Rastafari independent non-aligned media. This is what we're talking about when we talk about sovereignty, when we talk about collective security, when we talk about all of these things as Rastafari. Where is our Rastafari ecosystem? That is what we're coming to build. All right, enough of that now. Housekeeping out of the way. Now let me welcome I guest. This guest here is a leading reggae Rastafari artist in Belize. And for those who are not aware, Belize is in Central America, and there is a strong vibe we're gonna hear about. Is uprising, Watagwan in a Belize. But we are also gonna be hearing, because he recently returned from a trip to Senegal and Gambia, and we're going to hear what is the vibration of reggae on the continent. I want to have that conversation with my brother. A long time I don't reason with the brethren, so this is fresh. Yeah, I'm going to see the reasoning fresh here. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about none other than Ras Indio. Big up on yourself, King.
Yes,
How's everything with the eye?
Holy Manuel Selassie Ja, Ras
Ras.
Tafari. Yeah,
Yes,
man, it's truly a blessing. It's truly a blessing, man. We're here so again on the Oregon Hills. You know, we come out of the motherland, as you said, but what a joy to have experienced such a wonderful trip and, you know, get to present myself as a part of the Reggae Life family. because that's what I was as a part of the Reggae Life family.
Okay.
Big up Mama T, who was the original organizer, JOTD Productions, alongside Jala Promotions, who's from Africa, who invited I and I alongside a whole heap of artists from all over the world. Turbulence, Black Hero from Jamaica. There was talk of artists from St. Croix, but they never made it. And then I and I came from Belize and met up with a whole host of other artists from the continent itself, Ivory Coast and different places. Um, it's just a joy to come together in unity as we say we should and do exactly what we say we should do in the motherland, Africa. You know? Yes, sir.
Give thanks, King. Mighty, mighty strength. We're gonna ask the eye because I want to get into your connections and business because the eye is a businessman. You see how the eye move,
Yeah.
mystically,
Yes, sir.
through creation. I want to get into that. But before we go there,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the custom here on the Lion Voice with the Lion Pride. You have to step into our iritical time machine and
Man.
take us to the origin, in the moment of the eye birth. Where was the eye born? What was it like for the eye growing up, and your journey to Rastafari? We want to hear the eye origin story.
See. Yeah, man. Rah! Right up on the Lion Pride, Lion Roar. Yeah, man. Well, it started way back, It started way back because people don't know the true history of how much reggae music is embedded in my soul and veins and blood. Um, I might seem like the artist from Belize, and people don't know much of Belize. It's way over there, yes, in Central America. We get lost amongst the Hispanics a lot. But as I have seen, and I had just, to me, aware my own self, that the trip from Dakar or anywhere along West Africa is straight to Belize. It's like a direct. You understand? So I'm like, wow. So then that explains why we are such alike, in many different ways. The food, the way how we live, the lifestyle, everything I noticed is so similar, And my roots did start here in Los Angeles, California, but I was taken to Belize at a very young age. All right. But I believe being in California at the young age I was is also what brought me to Rastafari and reggae music because my
Okay.
father, who we have to big up, Brother David Obi, my father, you know, who lives in Belize right now, who will definitely watch this interview as soon as it's posted. He in the 80s was in California, and he had myself and my mom. We were in California. He was a part of one of the first reggae bands ever to exist in California, Los Angeles, by the name of Unity.
Okay.
Unity. Again, one of my biggest songs to date, Unity. So the band Unity broke up at certain times into different members of Bambiki Bandula. If you remember that name, Bambiki Bandula.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them became Babylon Warriors. And this is all in the 80s. And I was just a youth, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, growing up in this.
What
My
what
father,
what year was the eye born?
76.
Okay. Give thanks.
Yeah, man. 76. I see a lot of people share the same year as I. And we all have that same vibration.
I was 1 year after the eye, 77. So we're the
Okay.
same age cohort, But
Yeah, man.
continue.
Yeah, you see, it's very important, as I always express to people in many interviews, the importance of music in our lives at a very young age, the type of music that we intake at a young age. All my youths, it's just like how I was. And we learned songs word for word. It used to be intriguing for us to learn the words for these songs. Now imagine me as a youth growing up, age 4 to 7 to 8 to 12. But all I'm learning is songs from Burning Spear, Peter Tosh, Culture, Bob Marley. This is what I grew on. My father had a huge chest, reggae, full up with reggae albums. Me and my older brother, who you will see on songs with me, he's on Plant the Can, and he's on Warning. You can see these songs on YouTube. Warning, Ras Indio and Ras Nikuma. Okay. Yeah, we grew up with these albums. I can tell you personally, I used to sit down with an album, a Steel Pulse album, and read all the credits as I'm listening to the album. All right. That then filtered into the instruments that we had around. As I said, my father was a musician and he had a band by the name of Unity. The band, they used to rehearse in the back room of the house we lived in for a certain time. So I would fall asleep in the bedroom, in the room while they're rehearsing under the keyboard stand. Now hear this. Not to know that when I became 15, 16, I became the official keyboard player in my father's band for 4 years. You understand? This is what I said, how it's so embedded in me. I cannot even explain to you how reggae music and the message of reggae music and Rastafari and the love that and everything that comes along with it is just in my soul, you know? And so now when I now become an artist and express it from being who I came from, it's natural, you know? It's like a natural thing when I get on stage. Nothing fake. I never fake. Everything I do is what I see and what I just, you know?
From them time. So there I was.
Adding sparks to the fire that been burning from way back when, you know?
Serious. So I was born in California, and then you moved to Belize at a young age. What was that culture shock like, moving from America to Central America? And for those who are not familiar, because most of the audience is not going to be familiar with Belize or the culture of Belize, break down, Belize and give us to your young eyes, coming from America, what it was like in Belize.
Well, this is why, again, I can say that part of my bringing up in America was very vital in me being around certain vibrations, because Belize, who is so young of a country, got independence in 1981. And the African heritage there is not as strong as the Indian Hispanic heritage there. Okay? The Maya Indians, that's their ground. That's their ground. We were brought there. But as you can see, me, yes, I get mixed up during the journey, So it's these things we have to be aware of. When we got there early, my mom moved on a farm. It's not like we even moved in Belize City, all right? We moved on a farm. So it was very big culture shock. The first thing that got me was the mosquitoes, okay? Literally, I remember as a youth ending up at the hospital because the mosquitoes were so bad on me. I wasn't used to it. And, but, as you grow, now mosquitoes don't even matter at me. The other day when I went to Africa, they're like, you need malaria, this and malaria. I'm like, man, I come from that, But to go into
before you move on though, let me just say to the Rasses, when you go to Africa, take it serious.
Oh yeah, man.
We just lost Ras Maka, which is one of our elders from Jamaica.
Rest in peace.
Went to Ghana and was farming in Ghana, got malaria, and according to the reports, he was trying to use bushes and medicine to beat the malaria, and we lost our Asian. So really take it serious. If you get sick in Africa, don't fear if you take the malaria pills. We fight technology here on the Lion Voice Network. So I just want
with that said, I did end up spending a regretful $500 on a yellow fever card, which I have to, and I'll use that now for the rest of my life. Hopefully, I don't have to spend another $500 on that, But it was requested, and yes. But all I was saying is that like in Belize, we have mosquito. In fact, there's mosquito in America too, but certain mosquito is more powerful, I guess, as you want to say, than others in different places. So we do have to be very careful, and rest in peace to Ras Maka,
Yeah, man.
In paradise.
So Belize, describe what it's like in rural Belize, because you're dealing with Central America. You have all kind of wildlife out there.
We have one of the only jaguar. We have one of the only jaguar reserves in the world. Jaguar, all right. We have a lot of jaguar in Belize. We
So,
have,
so for those who don't know, big cat that is
all right.
you know what I mean, like a leopard, but bigger than a leopard. You know what I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
more
Yes,
powerful than a leopard.
yes, I.
One of the most powerful big cats. Because I want the people to know this is not no play bush. When you talk about
No,
Belize bush, you
no,
have
no.
poison
It's
snake.
look. We
Yeah.
have one of the thickest and largest rainforests in Central America, untouched, untouched. All right, and it's because of how we are. As I said, we're a young country, so we have a lot of development to do. So, and it's a great place to even think of finding land at this time to try and purchase and build from. You know, because it's a great place and great weather. And if you think about Costa Rica or Honduras and any of these places along that journey, Panama, Venezuela, it's kind of the same kind of nature. You understand? It's pretty much the same nature. Belize is right below Mexico, all right, and right before Guatemala, right in the heart. We like to say the heart of Central America. You know, but a lot of people don't know that Belize is the only English speaking country in Central America.
Yes.
Right? So that's another thing I have to share, which is very important, which is what brings that whole patois vibes. It brings the vibes of us being like anyone else in the Caribbean, as opposed to being Spanish. You understand? Hispanic. Yeah.
And I was gonna get to that because culturally, Belize is more Caribbean than
Yeah.
it is, Latin American or
Latin
Latino.
America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
culture, and explain to people the connection with Belize and Jamaica because there's a strong cultural connection with Belize and
Well,
Jamaica.
if well, again, it's the music heavily, but again, my grandfather, my father's dad is Jamaican. All right, so that's that shows you how close we are. And again, as I explained, those ships that came across, I was fortunate to be visit the Goree Island, and that is the Africa part of the conversation we will have. But I was fortunate to walk to that point of no return and stand at that door where they say so many of our brothers and sisters and ancestors went through. You understand? And as I stand there, like I said, I imagine how much it was. It was a direct trip to Belize, Jamaica, Honduras. In Honduras, we have Spanish-speaking Africans. You know, and I have a brethren I'm going to do an interview with soon who lives in Bluefield, Honduras. And when you go to Bluefield, Honduras, it's just like people from Belize. You know, even the same last names you find there that you find in Belize. You know, and when you check it, it's so amazing to really understand how the slave trade did bring us all and put us all where we are. But yet, if you look at a St. Lucian or a Guyanese or a Jamaican or a Belizean, we all look the same. We are all the same, you know. And I'm getting closer and closer to that with every trip I make to Africa. Ethiopia was my first trip,
Yes.
but when I went to Ethiopia, that's when I really got an understanding of how much we are African, and that is the root of it all. But now when I understand West Africa is definitely another place that, and, I spent time in Ivory Coast, and the food they were bringing me, brethren, was the exact same food that we have in Belize. The same food, the same hoodoo. They call it fufu. It's plantain crushed up, mashed up. And one morning I woke up hearing this beating. I'm like, what is that beating? So fine, I got up to check what it was, and I saw the lady using the mortar with the stick beating the plantain, as they do in the southern part of our country, Dangriga, Belize, which is so rich with the African culture. The people there still do that also. You understand?
Wow.
So
Cultural
it's like,
retention.
huh?
No, I said the cultural retention.
It's amazing.
Let's talk about your journey to Rastafari as a young um, youth. Were you, what was your first recollection of Rastafari? What was that moment when the I accept the divinity of His Imperial Majesty as part of your livity?
Well, that was so young, at age 7, I have another photo I'm going to send, is when I really did conscious age 7, is when I came to the realization of certain things through the music and through my father's teaching, and the way life was at the time, is when I really came to that idea that, yo, this is me, Rasta. This is me. At that time, I wasn't representing Belize. I was just Rasta and from the world. And up to this day, as I have went to Ivory Coast now, that's how I feel. I'm like, they asking me where you're from. I say, well, they call me Belizean, but maybe I'm from here. But the Rastafarian business, um, is a thing that descended on me through the music naturally, and certain readings through the Bibles and teachings, and the things that I was gaining knowledge on at a very young age. I would say between then, by the time I was 16, 17, I was affirmative, about certain things, because it's right there for us to read. Psalm 87 is one of the most powerful psalms for us to know and see and gain certain things from. Psalm 87 is right there. You can go read it right now. You know, and then me as an artist, if you notice, I began pulling the psalms into my psalms. One of my psalms, the psalm that I shot the video in Ethiopia for, is Psalm 1. And that's how I start my Jah Bless Us album. Jah Bless Us is everywhere online. You can find it Spotify, Apple Music. That is the one album I haven't backed up yet. I started with Psalm 1 because that's how we start. You have to start from the beginning. You understand? And they call me Ras Indio, but my name is David. So at times I used to just say, I am now David, in this time playing the harp, singing songs. This is what we do. Rejoice unto the Most High. Been doing it for years. So that's what I'm saying. It's like I said, it was all natural. You asked when did it come affirmative? It was set at age 7, and then around age 16, 17, around that time, before I became a man, because it was in my teens when I really set it forward. And I started growing my locks. I had cut it at one time. School, grandparents, the same thing you almost began asking me about. My mother went through a lot with her parents, who at the time couldn't understand why we knock up with hair. And now, as we speak of that, I used to do a lot of interviews in Belize where I would say to the people, we are one of the most free, rebellious nations now. Generations, not nations, generations, not problem. Before our parents, a few of them get into the hippie thing, whatever it caused them to jump out of that. But then our grandparents, a lot of them never was able to break away from the colonial part of the slavery that was put on us.
Yes.
And then if we go to the great grandparents, all right, and if we go on to, and if we end up, then we end up back to slavery. So these are the things that I used to always say in interviews so people could realize that we are now this generation that is now speaking out, using music to express, and then it goes around the world and other people feel like they want to express the same thing. This is how I feel. It's a vibe. But I know a lot of people, grandparents in Belize, who is still very one-minded way thinking. And that is all over the world, to be honest. Due to that.
And how popular is Rastafari, or how prevalent is Rastafari in Belize today? Do you see Rastas in Belize, or is it rare to see Rastas in Belize?
None at all. Now imagine, over 20 years has passed, and yes, now you have doctors, now you have lawyers, now you have the Empress, them, everybody. And not everybody truly has the definition and has the reason why they are growing locks. But remember Bob Marley said, what did he say when in an interview? They say, how you see Rasta? He said, Rasta is the future. Remember when Bob said Rasta is the future? So anytime you say these things, that's what pops in my head. That statement he made. Because, yeah, it's grown. And, yeah, we do have a strong Rasta, foundation in Belize now. And they mainly, I should say mainly, live mostly in the hills in an area called Harmonyville, Belize.
Okay.
And you have other places that you have more of that Rasta congregation and praise and celebrating coronation day and celebrate, these type of things. But in Belize City, you still have a lot of dread people who just wear the locks and they just live life however. To be
Yes,
honest.
yes, yes.
Yeah, man.
Give thanks, give
But
thanks.
it's
And
there. It's there. If you go there looking for Rasta, you will find it. And I went to Ivory Coast and met up with the Rastafarian Council, one of the ambassadors, Ras Julian. Big him up. And his vibes brought me to thinking, yes, in every place we need to have a place of such, where there's a Rastafarian Council, and if you as a Rasta come to Belize, there's a headquarters you can go. Something like how the EWF used to work, the Ethiopian World Federation. You know? I still have my
so,
brown passport to this day.
are there any Rastafari in Belize who don't know the eye?
Could I never be?
I just I just want the people know that the eye is
Yeah.
well known.
Could I
And
never be?
I test out the brethren, because I went to Belize on a cruise and I was asking people, Ras Indio, and them say, yeah man, and this was
Right away.
in the little cruise port, the
Yes,
little
sir.
tourist area. And I was just asking random people and everyone know who Ras Indio is, so Belize is place and we really have to big up and I want the eye to be a lion voice and ambassador for
Well,
Belize.
that is automatic. And like I said, like you explained earlier, I don't know how we knew that this connection was supposed to be, but we did. We made sure we didn't walk by each other in that airport that day in Jamaica.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
man. Well, that's how you know if someone really had tried the liberty, because
Yes,
two
sir.
races were tried the liberty never going past each other and don't hail up them one
The
another.
spirit,
That don't
the
happen. You know what I
spirit,
mean?
the
It
spirit
is
of the
not
Most High is too strong, too
too
strong.
strong. Eye contact, real, anything, but something is gonna happen. Explain to us the eye journey into music now. And recording your first song and what was the first release, and just take us through that journey.
Well, I've been holding mic from a youth. Another picture I have to share with you. From as a youth, I've been holding the mic. I've been writing lyrics. My aunt saw the talent. She used to invite me to a event she used to have, and I used to go there and I always mash up the place. And so like it just built, but I wasn't writing songs then. I wasn't like literally an artist. I was just dabbling with the mic. But that prepared me, along with the journey of my father, prepared me for later on when I would say between the ages of 20 and 23 is when I began literally saying, Ras Indio. And it wasn't Ras Indio, it was just Indio. I was a part of a group called the Wood Dwellers. The Wood Dwellers. We dwell in the woods. All right? And from then time we the mountain people. And it was me, my cousin, and another brethren, and we combined like what do you want to say, a rap, hip hop, dance hall, reggae, soulful mixture, and that was our presentation. And we went to Belize. We were in California. We went to Belize with that presentation and performed at a Miss Belize pageant. And to be honest, that was the first time we did anything on that level. And after that, that's when we broke out. But we branched out. The wood dwellers, as I always say, we end up branching out because my cousin stayed in America. I then stayed in Belize. Moses went his way. And in Belize, that's when I then started affiliating with my father more. Played the keyboards in the band for a while. The band name was Tribal Vibes. My brother was the drummer. I am the keyboardist. We hire a guitar player and other people, drummer, hand drummer, and my father sing, and he's the guitarist. And that was our presentation as the Tribal Vibes for at least 6 years. And then Ras Indio developed his own career out of that. I began saying, all right, boom. My first release, it's like a movie them a make. Death after death, it's like we're living in the wild, wild west. Movie them a make, time them ya youth ya get blessed. Them can't go on Zion Express. It's like a movie them a make. Death after death, it's like we're living in the wild, wild west. You see, I mean, from then time, my first song was a song that was trying to throw violence out of the window. I was like, man,
Yes,
we have to get
yes.
rid of the violence. Get rid of the
And
violence.
and and I hope that I know right after this interview, I need a drop from the eye for the network. I
Right
just want,
away. Lion,
yeah, man. We
lion
need that.
cry.
We need that. We need that.
Yo, blazing fire, yeah man, this is Ras Indio out of Belize. And the time has come for the lions to tell our own story. Right? Yeah man, we blaze fire, burning the wicked and the dirty vampire. Yeah man, Ras Indio, say that, blazing fire, lion boy.
So before we get into some more of the seminal moments, you were living in the hills. That intriguing. What type of wildlife did you encounter living in the hills? I'm a wildlife man, you know, so I love the
Yeah, man.
animals.
Me too. Me too. I love it. I love it. In Africa, I was playing with the monkeys. They come out in my hotel room, steal my electrolytes and my peanuts and shit. Yeah, it was real fun. I love animals. I actually encountered a jaguar before on my way to school. You know, on my
Wow.
early age, where I was waiting for the truck and came out and saw the jaguar cross the road, but he stopped on the road and he looked and he watched me. Then he kept going in the bush, right?
Wow.
Um, that I was young, so I was very frightened. I didn't even wait on the truck. When I saw that, I ran back to the house and told my mom what I just saw. You know, um, but I've seen the toucan bird many times, and if anybody
Yes.
ever see a toucan bird in the woods, in the jungle, is the most amazing thing to see. And the first thing you see is the red gold and green bill. You know, it's always the red gold and green bill always catch your eye, the big beak. You know, um, but monkeys again. Um, and I'm a fisherman. My uncles are fishermen. I have four uncles, they're all fishermen. Big up the Kushna family. They did a lot of fishing over the time of my life. So I got to experience a lot of that natural part of it, the water, the jumping
Yes.
in the middle of the ocean off the boat, and just not the ocean, but the Caribbean Sea, you
Yeah.
know? And yeah, usually in 15 to 20 foot of water, just diving around while they're doing what they're doing, you know. I just like, yeah. So I got to experience a lot of that. So I see a lot of animals from the ocean and lot of animals
Yeah.
from.
Did you ever buck up any sharks or anything like that?
Nurse sharks, I used to swim with them as a tour guide at one time. And,
Okay.
and the stingrays, I used to actually be able to make them docile, is the word, by lure them with the food. And the thing with a nurse shark, the minute you turn them upside down, they become completely docile, is the word. And
Yeah.
then all the people that would be on my trip would get a chance to rub and feel how they feel. They feel like sandpaper, you know?
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying, like close experience. I used to even call them my friends because I used to go see them every 2, 3 days for a big spell of time, you know? And it's like
Wow.
when they see the boat coming, they start coming to the boat because they know we're, we're bringing food, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And what about barracuda? You ever buck up any
Yeah.
barracuda?
Of course, and barracuda honestly is one of my favorite fish to eat. It is.
Okay, because I had a client who was a scuba diver instructor, and in Jamaica, and he told me that as an instructor, they weren't really afraid of the sharks more so, but the barracuda
Yeah,
that they had
because
to
they're
watch out
dangerous.
for. Yeah,
Those teeth is no joke.
yeah, and
I
he
haven't
said,
had any bad experience with them. Only once I ended up eating it, and it was the wrong time of year. You see, they have a time of the year when you're not supposed to eat them, and so yeah, and I accidentally ate some in that time, and I got sick. So I kind of
okay,
now know that about the barracuda, you know.
barracuda. Okay, and
Yeah.
then what about snakes? Did you ever encounter any snakes in Belize?
Well, it was like on a 2 acre farm, so yeah, I see snakes all the time.
Okay, what species?
We have the coral snake, which is one of the worst. and we have the Tommy Goff, which again is not nothing to play with. The Tommy Goff is very poisonous, you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that a Viper? Is a Viper the Tommy Goff?
yes, I believe a Viper. Yeah,
Okay.
but we don't
All
have
right.
corals. Like we don't have cobra and a rattlesnake. We don't have those ones. But
Yeah.
the coral snake is one of the most. Yeah, you have to
Venomous.
watch
Yes,
out.
one of the most venomous snakes on the planet.
You gotta watch out for that. Yeah, man.
Yes.
And
Wow.
it's like I said, I have a 2 acre farm, and you know they're around. They're around. I see them quite a bit. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
And we
because
have deer, and
yes.
all kinds of different big red deer with antlers on my farm. I see them there. You know.
And the snakes are part of the rodent control because they're attracted to wherever they have rodents and mice and them think that the snakes are gonna breed it.
Of course.
But yeah, man, that I just want the people them overstand because I come from Jamaica where in the bush we don't really have nothing that can trouble you.
Yeah,
In
because
the
it's an island, I believe. I believe because
yeah,
it's an island.
you know what I
Not
mean.
everything.
It's one of the safest bush on the planet.
Today.
We have crocodiles, but the crocodiles don't really trouble you.
Yes, sir.
So you have a lot of bird people and brethren in the bush. But when you talk about South America, when you talk about North Africa bush, you're talking about a different level of bush because there's things
True.
that will harm you if you don't have the right information and fullness. All right, so take us into your first big song. The first time where the people start know Ras Indio. What was that breakout moment for the eye?
Well, we had a tune once, and it was me. I have to big up Melody Man, who is no longer with us. Rest in peace, Melody Man, and my brethren Ras Cat. Right? We did a collaboration song, and that song was called Belizean Girls. It had a dance hall kind of a vibe. But that song was the first song I would say that really put our names out there and my name out there on the Belizean market. And up to now, you can see that video. You can go and search it for you on YouTube.
I go and
And
search it.
and look, up to now, if you meet anybody, as if you went to Belize right now after cruise and stepped out and asked anybody about Belizean girls, they would know it. You understand? So that's the thing, because this is like 30 years ago. It almost feels like,
Wow.
So that I have to say was one of my biggest songs. But since then, I backed it up with many other songs. And Dema Fraud, which was on the
Yes.
Job First album, Dema Fraud. All politicians are the same. See them there a smile and wave, yeah. But after them election, see them a pass and none of them can, yeah. Pure champagne pan them campaign. Why don't you so the people still a complain, yeah. Say them a help the poor people, but see we are so still a wait in vain. Politician them a fraud. Yeah, that song was a
Wow.
song that everybody in Belize. I don't know if it was the timing that I released that song, but that song right there made the difference. And from that song release, Ras Indio has been on the map.
Stamp.
Yes,
And all of these songs, I want the Lion Pride take notes, go and search. This is a veteran artist, and he's worked with
yeah,
every big name you can imagine. Very well
yeah.
known
That
within
same
the
album,
reggae music business. Yes.
the
Go
same
ahead.
album features Luciano, one of the kings of reggae. It featured Turbulence, who I just went to Dakar with, and Gambia, and it features Chesedek, who is one of the biggest songs on the album, and my brother Lutan Fire, and Brass Attitude from St. Croix. So, it was a collaborative, attempt to say, well, this album is a reggae album, but it brings all of us together. And it was my album, but it was our album. And that's what I was going for. And I was trying to break the walls of the whole place down, make them know that Belize is just like Jamaica, just like anywhere else. I think I did a pretty good job, but after that, certain things happened. I did release a lot of singles, but I never released an album as such ever again. You know,
Okay. Yes.
and this is where I know me as an artist at this time, you could say, would want to do that again. I wouldn't, because Jah always put us where he believes we should be. But at times I'm sitting there like, because I haven't backed up that album on a level. And I remember a brethren from Seattle, Farhad, who's Culture Yard Productions. Very good. He's always doing the shows that come through Seattle, Washington. Last show I did with him was with Kabaka Pyramid.
What's the virgin name?
Farhad.
Okay. I just linked that virgin. I just linked that virgin. Yeah, man. Bless him.
It's a small word, I'm telling you. So yeah, we call him Papa Farai, but his name is Farhad. But he is Culture Yard Productions in Seattle. You can't miss it, All the reggae shows that happen at the Nectar Lounge usually go through him. But it was he who said to me when I gave him the album, and I had it sealed up in a plastic, I said, look, I finally did it. Here. He looked at me and he said, oh, nice. And he watched the CD. He says, now you have to make another one. And I never forget him saying that. And up to this day, that sticks with me. And I never did. You see? So at this time, I'm still saying, yeah. I have a load of singles. We have Love Your Life. We have Wanting. We have Plant the Can. We have On the Radio. We have so many singles. But I believe albums tell more of a story.
Yes.
That Jah Bless Us album told a serious story when it was released, and people understood the story and felt the story. They put their CD in the deck and never take it out. The story stick. It's like, okay, so the things have shifted over to the streams and all these different things. CDs don't even matter anymore. It's a world of digital now, just like me and Linton Fire said. So now it's very important to have a lot of music in these mediums so that people can just stay streaming and down whatever. Because not even that, people don't even download anymore like they used to. And downloading was way more effective for us as artists than streaming, So it's a hard world, but again, it goes back to the message which we originally came here to bring. As long as we are living and surviving, can't make it about the money. But we have to survive.
But the money is important, and I'll talk to the offline about setting up your creative ecosystem. It's a different model right now. It's about the super fans. You know what I mean? Cultivating your own tribe, releasing music to your audience, direct to consumer, managing your own email list. You know what I mean? You really got to take people off of the platforms. You got to use the platforms as a funnel to bring the people to yourself. You see me?
I can hear you clearly, loud and clear. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. But we'll talk because I'm here to spread the joy. This is the model for artists, and an artist like yourself. It's perfect because you're a veteran artist. You have your fan base already. You're just not mobilizing your fan base as much as possible, probably, because what I say, I'm an artist. I haven't released any music yet. I released 2 singles, but I've been saving all of my music until I set up my my ecosystem. All of the music I put out is to my Patreon. You know what I mean? Where behind the paywall. If you want to hear my song, then you come behind the paywall. And that really is the model, is really having your own ecosystem where your fans can subscribe to the eye. They love the eye, they want to support the eye, and you release to those. Because as I tell artists, 1,000 people giving you $10 a month is a 6-figure income. You know what I mean? So you don't need no superstar, million fans and all of that on IG, which you now benefit from. If you have 1,000 solid core fans, you can make a nice life for yourself, live comfortable. And then if you make that 1,000 to 2,000, you understand? So with 5,000-10,000 fans, which the item can easily do, you know what I mean? You have a very solid and stable income, and now you're releasing music. And if a song goes wide, then that's bonus. but you're
Yes,
not depending on that. You're creating music for the people who are into Ras Indio. You know what I mean?
yes, sir.
And,
Yes,
and
sir.
that
Yes,
is a
sir.
better model for the future because streaming is a fraction of a penny. And again, these things are just funnels to get your name out there, to funnel people to where you can control. You know what I mean? YouTube,
Clearly.
all of these are funnels. You know, but we'll talk. But just a link forward with the brethren, you know. So this is family, and we're building a revolution within
Yes,
Far
sir.
Right. So
Yes,
you
sir.
don't know. But take us now to the first time you travel overseas. You grow up in Belize, you're in the forest, this, that. When did you start traveling now with the music? How did that journey start? And where are some of the first places you travel? This is a traveling brethren, so I'm going to bring in that part there of the
Of
brethren
course.
tribe.
But you know, it come from, I guess, being around my father again, because even with him, with the band, we had went over to Belgium and different
Okay.
states in Europe. This is 1997 when we went over to Belgium, and early years, which year I can't remember, 2004, we had performed in Colorado, no, New Mexico, at Angel Fire, New Mexico. It was a One World Festival. I'm trying to remember this now. This was in the 90s, right? 94 or 2004. I believe it was 94, you know, where my father brought us out and we performed at the One World Festival. It was the first time I ever witnessed Lucky Dube perform.
Okay.
Because he was one of the highlighted performers, along with George Clinton, P-Funk All-Stars, right? And Steel Pulse was on that lineup. So my father was on that lineup from Belize. So you see how long I've been kind of on this traveling journey. But yeah, so then I finally then began traveling on my own. My first invite, so that had to be 94. Because my first invite out from Belize was 2006 by Poopa Curly. Poopa Curly used to throw a Sea Breeze Festival in Long Beach, California, right? And if you remember this. And he invited me out for that festival. So that's Snoop and Fire being on it, and a few other people. So this is 2006. That was the first time I left Belize on a plane, invited as a performer. You know?
Okay.
And I felt, yeah, that right there was.
I talk about because I hear there's a huge Belize community in California.
Again, you know, and that started from the days of my father being there, you know. It's the thing where people like follow people, if you want to say, because Belizeans who have an idea that America is somewhere to go and build a better life, they call it, you know. Up to the day, people are, there's so many of them worried right now with this new Trump thing. There's so many of them are wondering what's going to happen now because they are here in America and this new Trump says everyone will need, you know, about this new ICU, whatever it's going on. We tend to think that America is the better place for us to build our lives and grow from, and forget a lot of the things that we have right at home, you know? And then we end up out here living this rat race life. They don't even realize they end up in it and can't get away from it, you know? So there's a lot of Belizeans here who came with an intention of just making their life better, but then they end up forgetting about home. Not everyone, you know, but that is, and so what it did, it depleted a lot of what could be home being built up, because then they're not home, they're building up anymore, they're out here helping this, you know, economy. And so I watched that, and it's very, you know, it's a thing to watch because my parents did it in order for me to even have a U.S. citizenship, which allows me to travel the way I travel. If I didn't have a U.S. citizenship, I wouldn't be able to travel the way I travel because the amount of fight that people get for a visa from the visa thing, you know. So that's, you know, that's a big part of it. But you can't blame anybody for searching and trying to make their life better, you know.
Yeah, man. Serious.
It's just natural. Yeah, man. It's so natural. But what I met in Africa I met
Yeah.
people who had an African passport. Africa is on the front of it, and open it up. I'm like, I said, so so I laugh. I said, look at all the people who are fighting to get American citizenship. What if they were all fighting to get African citizenship? It'll be a
Yes.
vibes.
And
But
that's
that's
gonna
not the way.
happen. That's gonna
Yeah.
happen because we're gonna talk about the tide that's sweeping Africa right now. Because Senegal, all of these countries, there's a tide that's sweeping. I want to get that story, but take us to your first visit to Ethiopia.
Mhm.
What was that story? How did that manifest?
Man, Ethiopia again. That was for self-restoration. I couldn't see myself continuing to sing songs about Addis Ababa and Shashamane and we need to go to Ethiopia. I'm inviting everybody to a place I never been. So, as a real Rasta man, I took that time to say, okay, I'm going to go there. I had the opportunity and I went. And yes, out of that, I met some amazing people and links that I have to this day. I talked to a brethren named Ras Tafari, who's now in Israel. He's very excited to bring me into Israel. So I told him, let it calm down some, So Ethiopia it was like another home. When I went there, just like when I was in Ivory Coast, you have to understand, you go to these places and people say, where are you from? And you say, Belize. And they say, where is that? And you try to explain. And then by the time you finish, they say, well, welcome home. You understand?
Yes.
How can you be any place in the world that would say, welcome home? It's a great feeling. Ethiopia, I met a brethren by the name of Ras Indio, and we still communicate to this day. And just to go there and see faces like mine, because that's salam no is the greeting in Ethiopia, salam no. Yes. And as I reached to the airport, that's what people are telling me. They thought I was an Ethiopian. People start to talk to me, and I have to say, I don't know, I'm having slower, So it's a vibes. Ethiopia, I'll never forget. It's a place.
Yeah, I get the same thing in Ethiopia. People, I've been cussed before because people think I'm trying to pretend to be Jamaican and I'm an Ethiopian. Ethiopians in DC cuss me. I say, why you don't speak Amharic? What are you doing? So definitely is a joy. So after Ethiopia, what year was Ethiopia?
2012, out of all years. It was the year when they said the world would collapse.
Okay.
When they said the Maya calendar would end. Remember?
Okay, yeah, man. And you
everybody have them theory. It's crazy how everybody have them theory and talks about that time and Jahaiwa.
Yeah, man.
I got to go to a place called Wandugenit. Yes. And I got to in the hot springs that my brethren Lumumba said Selassie himself bathed. You understand? I was able to go to the university, which is a place that Selassie built himself, right? And it's free education. It's a university that has free education. All right, you don't have to pay to go there. And I actually went to his house, saw his bed, met his butler, who was still living at the time. I don't know if that guy is still living at this time. I don't know. But when I went, I experienced some unforgettable things. Up to this day, I still have sand and different things from those places. Speaking of that, I have sand here from the Ivory Coast, right here.
Really?
Because my daughter and my children, my daughter said, please bring me back some sand. So I'm like, okay, I have black sand. This come from Goree Island, black sand. So it must have lava. It must have some lava in it,
Yes, lava rock.
Yeah.
Serious thing.
It's amazing, like I said, to see how we are so connected, but they on that side don't know. And it was up to me to let them know. And then I come back on this side and now I let my people know how much we are connected.
Yes. Serious. So what year did you end up going to Ivory Coast?
Second.
What year did you end up going to the Ivory Coast?
That's where last was. I just came back from there.
Okay. So that's recent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get into the topic because I want to talk about your recent trip. Give us idea of what's happening on the ground in Africa. What is the state of Rastafari reggae music? You know, what was the vibration that the eye received going to Senegal and the Gambia? And did you get to see the big statue and all them something there? Give us take us through the trip. How did it start? Take us through the journey.
Again, big up Mama T, JOTD Productions, who made it all happen, coming together with Majama and Lamis and all the names I could remember of these people who all hosted us and accommodated us. The vibe was so amazing. Senegal was a little different in its own way, but it was just a vibration. It's very Muslim oriented in Senegal, more so than in the Gambia. And again, they speak more French and Jollof, which is the main language there.
Yes.
So the communication with me and people were a little different. When I went to the Gambia, they speak English. And it's like overrun with Jamaicans. The place I stayed was owned by 2 Jamaicans. And one of them wake up every day and put on the sound system loud and get on the mic. And it was like I was in Jamaica, and everybody who I meet, it's just English. So that whole English, again, like Belize, you get that sense of being in the Caribbean. Senegal didn't really have that vibe, but I was able to go to Radio Senegal and do a nice interview with them. And I went to the House of Culture where I met up with Jambu and Jala himself, and these people showed me a lot of great things happening. And right around the corner from the House of Culture was the Renaissance, the monument of the Renaissance, which powerful, as big as the Statue of Liberty. You can see it anywhere you are in the city, anywhere, as long as it's not blocking the view. To see the image of a strong man, African man, of course, strong man, holding up the woman, and she's just like this, the woman and the man holding her, and she's like, oh, and then there's a baby though in the man's hand. He's also carrying the baby. It's pointing in the direction of where they all should be going. It's such a powerful thing when you put that together.
We have to big up Wade, who was the president who commissioned that work. He got a lot of criticism at the time for investing so much millions of dollars in building that monument, but it was a visionary move, what it represents to this day, because now it's a huge tourist attraction and it's put Senegal in the race with Ghana in terms of the diaspora. They have Goree Island, and Senegal is competing for the diaspora dollar with Ghana.
I see that. And they have some big stadiums, big, huge football stadiums. And Senegal is on a different level, you could tell, As I said, the Gambia is like even though I was around the tourist area of Senegambia, and so it's a lot of tourist kind of, attraction kind of vibes. It still feel like a village compared to Senegal, Dakar. Dakar was like different vibes. And most of the people are covered down, and you hear the prayers a lot, all through the day. So it was a vibe.
Muslim dominant. It's a Muslim dominant culture.
And it just brought me a different kind of vibes being there, as opposed to in Gambia. Gambia, I began taking off my shoes, wearing slippers, going to the beach. It was just a different vibration, Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Powers and strength.
So we performed in Gambia at the. Is the light okay? Because I noticed it's kind of clear.
Yeah. You can. Yeah.
Here we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I noticed in so in Gambia we performed in Brikama. That is this place. It's like we drove out of Senegambia city and 30 minutes out Brikama. And I see Jamaican going there soon. So it seems to be a place where many of the shows would happen. when they have shows in Gambia. Brikama Bar is the name of the place. And it was myself, Black Hero, who had to take off immediately after the show. He didn't even see the last performers because when he finished with his part, he had to take off to go catch a flight to go to Ghana. He had a show with Stoneboy. And,
Okay.
so, it's like, that's how we were moving. And Turbulence, Black Hero, myself, along with Carmel Zoom, who was a female artist from Berlin. Ras Julian, who was from Ivory Coast. Ras Kush, who was from Ivory Coast. And there's a bunch of other names I can't really remember, but it was that kind of a vibe. And the people received everyone very well. And the whole treatment, as I said, being in Africa and then being at a hotel where they come pick you up in a bus and take you to an event and security come out to guard you and walk you through the back. It was that kind of vibe, It's like, wow, Africa, we're there, Yeah, so, again, big up all the promoters and the people who made the production possible. They were already calling me and saying that April is a possibility. So
okay.
So
I was gonna ask, so the people know Ras Indio music over there, or you're introducing them to their music?
Well, I met a few people who did already know of Ras Indio and the music, but I believe that at this point we are introducing ourselves to them on this level, and it's really a great thing for me to be able to take the same Jobless Us album I'm telling you about now and take it there, and it feels like it's brand new again. The DJs, I have a brethren, DJ Muta Baruka. I have to big him up. He works on Q Radio in the Gambia. And since I left, he's been sending me videos of him playing the music now, pushing the music now. You have Cote de Ivory, one radio in Cote de Ivory in Ivory Coast, one radio. Big up Stefan Tate. He's definitely pushing the music. So we're getting it out, the vibes is building. And again, like I said, I went back into the archives and put the same songs out on them, and they're treating them as brand new. Here we go again. Yeah, man. So as I said, Gambia, was a true blessing to just feel right at home, I would say. I was fortunate to visit the QTV and get a nice Christmas edition special. They included me on, and it was great because it was at a time when everyone, they say, were looking at the TV. I was there during the Christmas time, So yeah, I didn't know they celebrate Christmas to that level, but they seem to, and it was a vibes to be around a different energy during that time of the year, From there, we went to Ivory Coast. The tour was finished after Senegal and Gambia. Everyone kind of started going there. Like I said, Hero took off, and Turbulence brought his son on this journey also, his 18-year-old son. And that was a blessing to meet him, His name is Malik. And so after the Gambia show, they took off because he had a show in Jamaica immediately coming up the next couple of days. That's when the promoters said they were going to Ivory Coast, because that's where Mama T and her family are from, and they extended the invite for me to go, and I said yes, let's extend. I'm already here on this side of the world, so we did another 10 days in Ivory Coast, but that led me to making a special appearance at Parker's Place, which is one of the famous reggae spots in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. And then it led me over to the Azike Live. I think they more say Azika Live, but it's AZK Live, which is known as the House of Reggae, not the House of Blues, okay? The House of Reggae. Lutan Fire had just performed maybe 2 weeks before I was there, and in that same venue. So it was a really good vibes, and I got invited on stage by Ambassador Ras Julian, who was doing a performance, and it was just a blessing to be in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, and then have the opportunity to grace the stage and bless the people, visit the radio station. This is the home of Alpha Blondie I'm talking about. He said, "We are the rockers from Ivory Coast," right? And Coco Cocody Rasta. Well, the radio station I went to was in Cocody. Yeah, it was in Cocody, Ivory Coast. That's the name of the place. So it dawned on me, and he has his own radio station there too, which we didn't make it to this trip, but in the future we hope to. You know. So it was a vibes just to know, how much Ivory Coast felt like home in Belize. It was astonishing. I had to change my gear, my clothes, and everything because it felt the humidity was just so much more. It felt like when you're home in Belize. You know that vibes. Yes, I. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So what's the feeling on the ground? We have a Pan-African wave that's rising from the Sahel countries.
100%.
Senegal has a young president who just told the French they have to come out of Senegal, and he's more aligning
Yeah.
himself with the Sahel. What you're on the ground while all of this is happening? Can you feel that Pan-African energy on the ground in Africa? What's the vibe?
100%. Definitely more so in the Gambia, I felt it. I felt that strong presence of, yeah. And then, like I said, that's what all Mama T is about, Pan Africanism. So we were meeting up with people, like I said, culture in Senegal. And I have to big up Lamis because he's a very powerful individual there who has a lot of thought of what the future we're going to be getting into real soon, is how they speak. So I'm like, okay, whatever you're ready for, I'm ready for it too. It's definitely once it have anything to do with homeland and the motherland. And again, the Cote d'Ivoire, that place has a lot of expanding happening right now. I see so much building, like hotels, stories, so much stories, like so much buildings that are not complete, but I could just imagine in the next few years what it's gonna look like. So as they say, Africa is like my father. Is like my father said, and Accra, yeah, Accra is a whole nother level. And I didn't make it there this trip, so we're hoping. They have spoken of a return to Abidjan for maybe April, and including Ghana same time. And then there's also a Kenya project, and there's a Malawi project, and other places that are hoping that we will visit real soon with this music and this vibration. So just look out. Ras Indio should be coming your way real soon. This is the time now where we have regained a certain vibration. Along the journey, I had lost my son, 14-year-old, in Belize, and so it kind of wiped me down for a minute. I had to break myself out of that and continue the journey, and that's when we released Bed of Roses. And Bed of Roses is the video you can see on Reggaeville on YouTube. Life ain't always a bed of roses. You have to work hard, people, you better know this. Ups and downs, continuous turnarounds. Stay wise and stay focused. So I had to click it and say, yeah, make me stay focused and keep pushing. Because it was a few months of just like, what next. So
Wow, I didn't
as we
even know
continue to
that
drive
the
forward,
idea went through that. Condolences to the eye.
true
Give
thing.
the people an idea of what to expect from Ras Indio now. Where is the future lying? And then also let the people know how they can spend money with the eye. I have a rule for my guests here on the Lion Voice. We want to circulate the Ras Tafari and the Pan-African dollar. And I tell the Lion Pride, once we bring forward a guest, we have to spend some money. Because my vision is, even if we have 1,000 people within the Lion Pride spend $10 on each of the guests, they put a little budget aside. You know what I mean? That's a massive strength for any creative or entrepreneur to get that influx of capital at one time. So I want to build up to that. So let the people know where they can, spend money with the eye, and then what's the future hold for Ras Indio.
Well, we have the Apple Music downloading sites with all the music. Spotify is where you can stream the music. We don't do CDs really anymore, and we had a website, but I let it close. So, at this time, I would say, I don't know where to say, you would say send money is like just support the vibes however you can. We do have PayPal. Yeah, man, we have PayPal and these things, but every strength does help because we as artists, we are, at home creating, and it's like we put our time into this to share with the world. And, a lot of artists have to have regular jobs, you would call it, in order to suffice. And, I dabble in other little things at times, but music is my full attention. And so, yeah, every little bit always helps. And yeah, you find me everywhere on every social media line.
Every platform. Yes, Ras Indio. And we advocate for artists to get jobs here. You know what I mean? I tell every young artist get a day job because you have to invest in yourself before anybody else invests in the
Yeah,
eye. You
yeah,
have to be able to
yeah,
invest, and you need that capital. So don't let nobody say
yeah,
me an artist, me can't work. No, you have to
yeah.
work,
No, no.
invest, invest in yourself, so you have a marketing budget, you have all of these things that
Yeah,
you're going to need to be successful in this music industry. And then whatever you do is part of your story. It makes you unique. It shows your struggle, your work ethic. So don't look at it like it's a down because you have a job. It's part of your journey and part of what makes you unique. Remember, Bob Marley worked at a car factory in Delaware, and he sung a song about it all
yeah.
night.
Listen,
He
listen.
made music out of his, and who's greater than Bob Marley? Within the reggae music. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So we have to look at the blueprint. There's no
Clear.
reason to reinvent the wheel, you know what I mean? And there's no shame in having a
Yeah.
work as an artist. So I'm glad the I said that as a
Yes.
veteran artist.
Yes, sir.
So because they hear it from I,
Yeah, man.
but I'm glad that they can hear it from the I as someone who's out there living this thing for
Yeah, man.
real. And like I said, I met the brethren in the
Yeah.
airport in Jamaica, coming from a show I can't remember
All right.
what show the I had just finished a show in Jamaica. So this brethren is always, you know what I mean, working on the road,
Movement.
doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So I really admire the I perseverance and tenacity because it's not an
Yes, sir.
easy road, as you say, it's not a better roads
Not a
in
better
this.
road. Would you say it's not an easy road? I say it's not a better road. It's true. Yeah, I was coming from the Oraka Bessa Festival that time. It was Iwayne and Sizzla, and the first Herbs Music Festival, And, speaking of herbs again, that is what all the people in Africa I met are like, wow, we want to get herb, the business like it is in America, because I tell them what I'm over here in America, how it is. Because, they brought me herb, and I'm like, you should see what I smoke in America. So it was a vibe. I finally found some Ghana grown OG Kush that was okay for me to, deal with. But before that, it was like bush. And they literally call it bush. They're like, bush. I'm like, I don't want bush. We don't smoke bush. Yeah. So, the guy.
The yard man go Ghana and make sure say the thing right over Ghana. You know what I
Straight
mean?
up, straight up, straight. So you see what I said, and that is literally the best. In a Senegal, no luck. In a Gambia, we found luck, but it was American stuff being shipped there, and I'm like, yo, this is cool, but this is what I'm used to. I want the real African goodness. Like I want something nice from Africa. So when I end up in Ivory Coast, that's when, as it borders Ghana, right? One of the sisters who come from the village nearby Ghana says this comes from them hills. And that was the first time I literally then saw actual buds and things that made me appreciate what I was smoking. Because say we are ganja, we are real ganja man from baby, so we can't hide it. Yeah, man. Yeah,
Give
yeah,
thanks
yeah.
for that. And all of these things are going to change in Africa right now. There are severe penalties in most countries for possession and all these things, but we
Yes,
know a lot
yes,
of
sir.
those were imposed by European colonialism, because most African cultures have a deep Asian culture with the herb. You know what I mean? When you go into the villages
Definitely.
and think
right away.
there is a cultural knowledge of this plant, you know what I mean, all throughout the continent, but
Yeah,
because of colonialism,
all true.
it's been outlawed and demonized and these things. So we know that's going to
Mm-hmm.
change within time, and
Mm-hmm.
that this is a multi-billion-dollar industry that I and I
You see
have
me?
to make our contribution to as Rastafari ones and ones. So I really, again, just give thanks for the I coming on the platform and sharing. This is part one. Um,
Yes, sir.
Anyone who come on the Lion Voice, you know, you're now a regular guest and part of the Lion Pride. And as I said, I'm looking to the eye to be our ambassador to make sure the Belize Rastafari community know about this platform and that they tune
Easy,
in.
give time.
I mean, yeah, man,
Yeah, man.
share this reasoning with the family in Belize. So this is a
Yeah.
centralization movement, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's up to
we
us.
have
It's
to,
up to us. It's up to us. It's up to us to make it all one, you know? So it's up to me to share and up to you to share and we share. Yeah, man.
that is it.
One
And
family.
remember, our generation, we are the adults in the movement now. We can't blame the elders
Yes.
about what we don't see, and we can't blame the youths about what they don't do. You know, we're the ones with the
Do.
responsibility
Yeah.
where the government fall on our shoulder. We're no longer youths. You know what I mean? I tell my brethren,
Straight up.
because you have some 40-year-old plus man who still call themselves Rastafari youths, and we tell them, no, stop that. I'm
Yeah.
advocating a new category. We have the young adults, 20 to 40. Then we have the mature adults,
Yeah.
40 to 60. We are the mature adults. It's I and I time now to
Yes.
make our stamp on the movement, you know, to all of the
Yes,
things we
I.
don't see, the healthcare center, the schools, the you know what I mean, the farms, all of those things now is I and I time to implement them things, to set the economic base for them things. And this platform is to capture that uprising, because I tell people the glory days for Rastafari is ahead of us. It's not the 70s. You know, that's
Yes,
just
I.
part of the journey. But the glory days, now we have the teachings and the speeches of His Majesty. Now we understand that this is not poverty, is not righteousness. Now that we understand that economics is part of Rastafari, business is part of Rastafari, because we see His Majesty how we
Mm-hmm.
move. Now is the
Mm-hmm.
time, you know, education, all of these things is part of this trad. So now we are the
Yes.
ones who, because the elders didn't have access to certain information in them times, they were just surviving through
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
mystical inspiration. All they had was the Bible, so they were living ancient days. Now we have the speeches, so we can update and modernize the tribe for the youths them to come. And I tell the people, until we can employ our youths, we're gonna lose them. You know what I mean? We have to be able to employ the youths them, give them high paying jobs that they can sustain families, and you will see how the movement prosper. And we can't look to any other generation but I and I, Generation X, they would call us.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I can't say nothing more because everything you say is basically. You, I'm just all I could do is nod my head because you're there right on point, brother. Honestly, you know, this is where we are right now in this time, and I've had to come to my own conclusion, as you said, because I have children of my own, 7. So it's like I have to realize sometime. I have to realize you know, where I am right now in this position of life, you know, because I am in between my parents, who you can still look at my parents and feel like a child around the parents and needing the parents, but then I have to then be able to then show my youths which way they need to be going at the same time and guide them and help them. So I found that same essence, as you said, of positioning where we are now in life as 40 to 60 mature adults. It's our time. Yeah, man. And you know, I got quiet. Look, I got quiet and just say it's like I got end up in Oregon for a while and did some great things in Oregon. You know, performing with the Whalers and Israel Vibration and connecting with some band members from Zimbabwe. And just being here in Oregon is a really good vibe. But it's like then boom, right when I thought nothing else would show up, Africa did. And then now it's just like a whole wide now, bright now focus, you know, about where we're going musically. I shot a video for Praise Jah, the latest release, Praise Jah. Psalm 121. Find it now on Spotify, whatever you want to listen to the tune. But the video we shot in Gambia. I was sitting here in Oregon for the past year wanting to shoot the video for the song, and I'm like, nah, I can't do it on the Western Coast. I can't do it on the Western Coast. I need to find that, I said either going back to Belize and get some of my Rasta brethren, or I go into Jamaica and do it on a level of Jamaica, But look where I end up. Gambia, And just is amazing how patience bring what you're looking for, So stay positive, man, and righteous. Everything comes to he who waits. Yeah. He who waits. Yeah.
Yeah, man, mighty. So just give us any final sound before we seal up to the Lion Pride, to the global Rastafari family. Just give us any final sound that I have.
UNITY, UNITY, that a unity. UNITY, UNITY, that a unity. Worldwide. That's what we need right now. Everybody, And I think a lot of this, like you said earlier, you will have bad mind, you will have hating. Bring it all around. Unity is the healing factor of everything. Unity and love. Yeah, man. To all Rasta people worldwide, stay strong, stay positive, Keep praising up the Most High first, and everything will come after.
Yes, so you heard it, dear family. Ras Indio, out of Belize, out of the West Coast, out of Africa now. This is a name to familiarize yourself. If you're not already aware, go on YouTube. You will see decades worth of work with the brethren put in. And, it's an honor for the brethren to be on the platform. And we're going to continue to push this unity. There's no stopping us right now. Our generation is connecting. We're united. We are rising. We are working. Why? Because the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion Voice. I listen.
Respect.
Lion Voice. Them could never conquer the mountains. Thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again unto the world. Now we are announcing. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. Rastafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. Well, solar energy that them a see. The whole city powered by the sun's energy. The road them make out of hemp and concrete. Neighborhoods full of fruit trees that taste sweet. The youths put down them guns, them harvest and a reap. The beautiful gardens will line every street. Tired of the bloodshed, them done with the beef. Not even animals for them burn out the meat. Where people say Haile Selassie, I see Nile. When they see him a treat the dirt like a child. Peace on earth from the banks of the Nile. That's why we giving thanks in style. Sister Babylon a weapon, them a stockpile. Babylon a wicked, kill them brother and smile. Lion, Babylon a reptile. Them a plant for shed blood, we got plans for the soil. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. Rastafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. No more gullies, proper sanitation. Proper toilets with proper filtration. Clean water for the youths them fi use. Our sons and daughters safe, no more child abuse. Africa arise, read it in the news. On the day when Rastafari ready, wicked have fi move. 3D printing alongside hem shoes. Herb get legalized, hard drugs them get refused. Well, people used to say they bring him man senile. True himself he tried it with man, woman and child. Himself peace on earth from the banks of the Nile. That's why we give him thanks in style. She say Babylon a weapon, them a stockpile. Babylon a wicked, kill them brother and smile. Lion, Babylon a reptile. Them a plans for shed blood, we have plans for the soil. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the beast. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the beast. Ras Tafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youth them fi build up them countries. Babylon, them got a plan for boots war. Without them meditation, well, them not go reach far. The money where them take fi buy them bullet and gun. And money where them can use for education. The money where them take fi buy them RPG. And money where the youths can use for school fee. Highly Selassie, I say knowledge at the key. So when the order come fi shoot the youth, them say them can't agree. So the beast get defeat them see. Them soon read about it down in them history. Written in the book, them call it the prophecy. The might of the Trinity stand as the Almighty. Them could never conquer the mountains. Thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again to the world. Now we are announcing. Them could never conquer the mountains. Thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again and we still a sip from life fountain.